You've got The Terminator, you've got The Matrix. Science fiction has given us these huge, world-changing ideas about artificial intelligence. But how much of that is just Hollywood hype, and what's actually happening in our world right now? So let's separate the fiction from the facts and really try to understand what AI is.
Okay, so what should we really be worried about? When we talk about AI's impact, are we talking about some kind of robot uprising? Or is a real challenge something way more subtle, something hiding in the code that's already, running our lives?
Now, it's pretty easy to just dismiss all that sci-fi stuff, right? But Einstein had a point here. He said imagination is crucial. And these stories, they aren't just fantasy. They actually give us a really powerful starting point, like a shared language, to talk about where technology could go, even if the details aren't exactly spot on.
All right, so let's kick things off with the AI we all think we know, the one from the movies.
Yeah, the movies have basically given us two epic but completely opposite visions for our future with AI. I mean, on one hand, you've got the total annihilation thing from the Terminator, right? A self-aware AI decides humanity is the problem and, well, you know the rest. But on the other hand, you have this incredible human enhancement from the Matrix, where you can just instantly learn Kung Fu. Two very different paths.
Okay, but here's the thing. While we've all been watching the skies for sentient robots, the real dangers of AI have quietly slipped into our daily lives. So let's pull back from the movies for a second.
And this is the crucial difference. The sci-fi threat, it's physical, it's obvious, it's a robot holding a gun. But the real threat, the one we're dealing with today, it's totally invisible. It's the software that's shaping the news you see, the ads that pop up on your screen, and, yeah, ultimately, what you even think.
But wait, it goes even deeper. These algorithms, they aren't just trying to find stuff you already like. No. As AI researcher Stuart Russell points out, their goal is often to literally change you, to make your preferences more and more predictable. And why would they do that? Simple. A predictable user is a profitable user. They're not just serving your interests, they're actively molding them for cash.
And look, this isn't some far-off theory. This is happening right now. Experts like Kathy O'Neill have documented tons of these real-world examples of algorithmic harm. We're talking about things like job ads being shown only to specific racial groups, or searching for bad hair in Portuguese and getting images of black people. There were even professor ranking systems that turned out to be, get this, completely random. These are real things.
So why does this happen? Well, it all comes down to a super simple, fundamental rule in computing. Garbage in, garbage out. See, an AI model only learns from the data we give it. So if that data is packed with all of our own historical human biases, well, guess what? The AI is going to learn those biases and then apply them with like a ruthless mathematical efficiency.
Okay, so that's the scary stuff. That covers the danger. But what about the dream, right? What about that Matrix-style mind upgrade? Are we getting any closer to that? So, the big question. Can we download Kung Fu directly into our brains yet? The short answer is, nope, not even close. But, and this is a big but, that doesn't mean a different and honestly incredibly powerful kind of super brain isn't already here.
Here's how today's super brain actually works. It's all about collaboration. Think about it. You ask a really tough question to a tool like ChatGPT. In an instant, that AI scours and synthesizes more information than you could possibly read in 1,000 lifetimes. And then, it just hands you back a neat consolidated answer. See? You're not replacing your brain, you're just giving it superpowers. You're augmenting it.
I know, this all sounds a bit like magic. So, how does this stuff actually work? What's going on under the hood?
Well, the core idea, these things called artificial neural networks, they've had a real roller coaster of a history. It all started back in the 50s with these simple models called perceptrons. Then, progress just stalled. The whole field hit a dead end that people literally called the AI winter. But then, in the 80s, a breakthrough algorithm called backpropagation, which is basically a way for networks to learn from their mistakes, brought the whole thing back to life. And that led to the 2010s, when modern deep learning took over and caused the explosion we're seeing today.
But even with all this amazing progress, there's this fundamental limitation, and it's captured perfectly by something called the broken leg paradox. Here's the deal. An AI can predict with incredible accuracy that if you tell it you broke your leg, you're probably not going to the movies. But
It has absolutely no idea what a leg is, or a movie, or what it even means to break something. It's a master of finding patterns, but it has zero, and I mean zero, common sense.
And that lack of real understanding, that's where things can go really wrong. Do you remember the original RoboCop? There's that scene where he shoots someone because his software just fails to identify that they dropped their gun. It's a simple image recognition error. Well, that's the Hollywood version of a real-world bot canceling your flight by mistake, or flagging a totally harmless post as fake news, all because it just doesn't get the context.
I mean, today's best image recognition systems have an error rate of around 5%, sometimes even less, which is, frankly, incredible. But it's not zero. And here's why that matters. When you roll out a system on a global scale serving billions of people every single day, even a tiny error rate translates into millions and millions of mistakes. And those mistakes can cause some huge problems.
All right, so if AI isn't the sci-fi villain we see in the movies, and it's not some magical savior either, then what is it? And what does our future with it actually look like?
You know, maybe the biggest mistake we can make is thinking about this as a competition, right? This whole man versus machine thing. It just completely misses the point of the technology. The real breakthrough, the real future, it's always been about man with machine.
And maybe no one understood this better than the chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov. I mean, think about it. After his famous loss to the computer Deep Blue, he didn't see this terrifying opponent. He saw a partner. And the question he asked, instead of competing, what if we could work as one? That really pointed the way toward this whole new future of collaboration.
Because at the end of the day, AI isn't some force of nature that's just happening to us. It's a set of incredibly powerful tools that we are building and that we are choosing to weave into the fabric of our society. So the most important question isn't really about what the technology can do anymore. It's about what we will choose to do with it. The real question is, how will you, and how will all of us, shape its future?